Jesus tells us in the gospel today that if we look at another person with lust, then we have already committed adultery with that person in our heart. If we think about when we began these little talks on the spiritual life, we had the gospel passage of the Beatitudes. And one of the Beatitudes is, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God." Those who have a pure heart see everything in this world as a means of honoring and glorifying God. You see, the things of this world can be used in either two ways. Either we can see them in an end in themselves, and we can find our own personal satisfaction in them, and even uniquely that satisfaction. Or we can see them as means of drawing us closer to God, and we can see those things as means that make us closer to God and help us to love God even more. For example, if we just think about what we eat. We're called to eat to nourish our bodies. And so it's normal that there is some enjoyment in what we eat, and that helps us to even nourish ourselves properly. But we should always see that food as nourishing our bodies, which support our souls, and then our souls turn themselves to God. But if we see our enjoyment uniquely in the food that we're eating, then it doesn't go beyond that, and we're just finding self-satisfaction in that, and it's just a personal love, really, that's expressed. So you can see with so many things that exist around us, how do we see them when we look at the world or the creation around us? Are we seeing that as something that glorifies God, or are we just seeing something that pleases ourselves? And every aspect of our life could be taken the same way. So this is something called the purity of intention. So when we have a pure intention and a pure heart, we use the things at our disposition, or we observe the things around us as means of glorifying God, and we see how God is glorified through them. And so ultimately then, when we do that, we see God through this world. At this time, at the present time, we see God through this world because everything around us speaks of God, and it helps us to see God. And in the next world, we'll see Him face to face. But as long as we are here now in this world, we see God through the things of this world. So Jesus says we have to have that purity of attention. So we can't look at other people as sexual objects or means of pleasure. That's an end in itself and doesn't lead us closer to God. It actually takes us away from Him. And also he goes on to say that for some things we have to be very radical about. We have to just completely eliminate them from our lives. So if we have an addiction towards something, we have to eliminate it. We can't just use it with moderation or in a moderate way. We have to completely eliminate it. And that's the case, for example, for some people who smoke or drink. They can't do it incrementally, but they have to completely eliminate it. And in our lives, we have to be careful in our lives that the things we use, that they don't make us slaves of them, but we do have the proper control over it and the governance of them. So again, when we have a pure intention of heart and we have that pure eye, we are able to see God through this world and through the things of this world, because they all mirror the presence of God in our lives. So let us strive each day of our lives to purify our hearts and to seek God above all, but also through all. And when we do that, we will be truly blessed, because God's love will shine upon us.